After nearly 48 hours of searching, a 21-year-old woman from Elkton was found safe. Frances Dieno left her home around 2 a.m. Saturday morning, prompting an extensive search. Her family says she suffered from mental health issues after getting into an accident and had a dissociative disorder. Within the last hour, her father told WMAR2 News she was safe. In Anne Arundel County, police are investigating what they're calling racially motivated vandalism. The police department tweeted 2 pictures of the lynching in Anne Arundel County historical marker by the Severna Park Library. There's a piece of twine tied to the bottom of the display in what looks like a noose. Officers are looking into the incident and are asking anyone with information to come forward. Staying in Baltimore County, heading to Baltimore County, a man was shot and killed in Essex this morning near Oberle Avenue. Officers say they got on scene around 9 a.m. and found 59-year-old Dante Doles lying on the ground. He'd been shot and crews rushed him to the hospital where he later died. Now that death marks 229 homicides in the city of Baltimore so far this year. Baltimore County Police are also looking into a shooting in Catonsville that happened around 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. When police got to the scene on Baltimore National Pike, they found a man with multiple gunshot wounds. It's not clear what led up to this shooting, and police haven't named a person of interest yet. If you have any information, call police. Now, we've had multiple homicides in the state, in Baltimore City. Now, it also aligns with trends we've seen when it comes to murders here. Now, most people killed in the streets die after being shot, and most of the people killed are men. Now, Baltimore saw its first homicide back on January 2nd. That's when a teenage boy and a woman were both shot. The 37-year-old woman died, but the teen survived. Now, we have a complete list of homicides on our website, WMAR2news.com. And new tonight, Baltimore firefighters say crews are looking into a series of underground fires. Those broke out this afternoon and shut down portions of Fayette and Gay streets for several hours. Those streets have since been reopened, and right now it's not clear how those fires started.
Good evening, I'm meteorologist Sabrina Fine. It was a fairly cool day today, all as a cold front was getting ready to slice through the area. That's brought some showers as well. However, we will see a big change for our Labor Day forecast. That cold front still working its way throughout portions of Pennsylvania. Forecast to slide through the region sometime tonight, early Monday morning for us. Right now, the shower activity generally drifting off to the east. You can see some activity right now near White Marsh, stretching up toward Bel Air, but a little bit stronger action heading out over towards Stevensville and right around the eastern region. It is going to continue to move through the area. This is the forecast for us in 1 hour, and you can see the heaviest bands of rain staying further to the south, like now over toward Annapolis and Stevensville. So that means you're going to get a good night's sleep, right? The pitter patter on the roof makes it fairly nice and comfortable to fall asleep for you. Rainfall totals from this storm system, maybe about a few hundredths of an inch. We are already in a surplus for this year of an inch, so any more rainfall, we don't really need it. Tomorrow, though, the rain is out of here. That front has moved through, and look at this, 7 a.m., partly cloudy skies, 67 degrees by 9 a.m. We could see some areas with clear conditions. Coming up, I'll just tell you how warm it will be behind that front. Over to you.
A group of Navy sailors were killed in a helicopter crash off the coast of San Diego last month. Tonight, we're learning their names, including one who was from Maryland. Hospital Corpsman Second Class Sarah F. Burns was just 31 years old from Severna Park. 2 other sailors who died that day were from Virginia. Governor Larry Hogan tweeted about the crash and asked Marylanders to send their condolences to the Burns family. Now, 3 other people on board the helicopter also died, but haven't been identified yet. Saturday marks 20 years since the events of September 11th affected the lives of every American. One Abingdon man made it his mission to never forget. He created a 9/11 living classroom to share the many stories from that tragic day. WMAR2 News' Mark Roper takes a look at this moving exhibit.
The images of September 11 are ingrained in the minds of every American who saw the country attacked on live TV.
And I woke up and just like everybody else started a normal day and went to the bank, and they had a TV on, and saw the second plane hit, and we're standing there and just couldn't believe it.
Chuck Ritz recalls driving to work that afternoon, seeing the smoke from the Pentagon and feeling numb. 1 week later, on September 18th, he was compelled to make the trip to New York City to see the destruction at Ground Zero with his own eyes.
When I left, my shoes and pants were covered with dust, and I looked down, and it just wasn't the street dust, but I think it was the incinerated hearts and souls of those who were lost.
And now, nearly 20 years later, those emotions and memories of September 11th, 2001 inspired Ritz to create an exhibit he calls America's 9/11 Living Classroom.
Came up with the idea about 2 years ago to create something that we can share the stories of 9/11 and the war, and because we realized a lot of people can't travel to the East Coast. So my mission with this and vision with it is to be able to travel the country and take it to places that, you know, some places maybe even felt they weren't affected by 9/11.
A collection of coast-to-coast headlines from about 30 different cities were the first items Ritz curated for the exhibit.
To be able to flip through these papers and read some of the stories and, you know, and see the different images on the headlines and on the front page, yeah, it definitely takes you back to that day.
More than 400 first responders were killed in New York City on September 11th, including 71 law enforcement officers and 343 New York City firefighters. Ritz, whose dad also happened to be a firefighter, pays tribute to those heroes by sharing their stories.
A New York firefighter, Tim Collette, retired after 30 years as a lieutenant. This is Tim's FDNY jacket that he wore on the pile.
And besides showcasing artifacts from Ground Zero and the Pentagon, the 9/11 Living Classroom also includes a recreation of the makeshift memorial at the Flight 93 crash site in Pennsylvania.
Wanted to recreate that and share what it would look like and how people were compelled to leave items, and we're hoping that people will, as they come through the exhibit, will write a note and put it on the fence, as we did up in Shanksville.
Ritz also takes a look at the many local heroes who lost their lives fighting America's war on terror following September 11th.
Sarah Cullen went up to West Point on September 10th and was driving back with her mom down 95, looked over New York, there's the Twin Towers, and the next morning they were gone. That afternoon, September 11th, she enlisted in the Army and became a helicopter pilot and was killed in the war. But incredible stories of people who made sacrifices and they joined our military because of 9/11.
With the help of volunteers and more than $60,000 in donations, Ritz has worked tirelessly to ensure none of the Americans who lost their lives because of 9/11 are forgotten.
We made a promise to never forget, and I've kind of, I think my purpose in life is to keep that promise.
In Middle River, Mark Roper, WMAR2 News.
What an incredible exhibit. Well, tomorrow on WMAR2 News at 6 p.m., Mark Roper talks to some Maryland National Guard members who went into action on September 11th. They recount what happened that day and the days after. Well, are you looking for new school clothes? A lot of people are finding racks and shelves empty. We'll explain where that shortage is coming from up next.
We showed you the front. Coming up, we'll talk about temperatures behind that front for your big Labor Day plan. Plus, when 90 degrees return to our forecast, but not for long, another cold front on the way. We talk all about it in this week's forecast on the flip side of the break. See you then.
You're watching the station that's working for you. Now, WMAR2 News.
We have new information tonight. Police say the 80-year-old woman reported missing earlier was found safely just a few hours ago. Barbara Mae Hopkins went missing on September 3rd, but is now home safe. Well, back to school and fall clothing shopping is turning out to be tougher for many families this year. WMAR2 News' consumer reporter John Matarese talks to shoppers finding empty racks and shelves. He looks into why, so you don't waste your money.
Shoppers are getting ready to restock their closets for the fall and winter, but many are starting to wonder, where's all the clothing? Kristen Sterling was trying to do some school shopping here at TJ Maxx.
There's not that much clothing.
Inside, she found a much smaller selection than she's seen before.
I've been looking for baby items as well as items for a teen.
And you're not finding much?
Not finding much.
Shoppers across the country are finding half-empty clothing racks and shoe shelves out of popular sizes at many stores. At this Burlington store, a third of the store is now closed off with a divider. High school sophomore Mia Dressel was looking for a homecoming dress with her grandmother, but
the dresses were really short or either really long.
and it's not just discount clothing stores struggling to keep inventory on their shelves. Retailers everywhere are coping with product shortages as we start getting into the all-important holiday shopping season. It's the result of pent-up demand combined with supply chain breakdowns, according to Carrie Byrne of freight broker Total Quality Logistics.
What we're seeing is a disruption in the supply chain that happens sometimes, but now because of the labor shortage, it's just been exacerbated.
Byrne says a shortage of plant workers and truck drivers, coupled with cargo ship backlogs, mean shelves may not be much fuller than this for the upcoming holidays.
That was John Matarese reporting. 37,000. That's the number of people that once worked at Bethlehem Steel in Sparrows Point. For over 100 years, men and women put their lives on the line crafting the nation's steel. For years, the secrets of the point were kept between mill workers who became family.
And I was the type of person that I would stick up for myself. If I was right, I was right. And you couldn't make me do anything that was not right to hurt someone else. I put my co-workers first. We were all family. I love them.
Yeah.
Now WMAR 2 News tells the story of the brave mill workers whose bond is forged in steel. Join Jamie Costello, Mark Roper, and Christian Schaefer on Labor Day at 7 p.m. for When Steel Was Made in Maryland on WMAR 2 News, streaming services, and our website WMAR2news.com. Well, we now have meteorologist Sabrina Fine joining us today. It was a rainy, colder day today. People probably weren't excited about that, but there's some hope in store for Labor Day.
I woke up today and I felt like it was sweatpants weather, although a little ridiculous considering it was still the 70s for us.
I wanted soup today, so I get it.
Okay, tomorrow, whole different ball game. Hopefully you did not stock up on soup and you have that in your plans for Labor Day. You still will be able to grill out so you can have the hot dogs, the veggie burgers, everything like that, as we are forecasting temperatures to actually warm up, despite the fact that a cold front is moving through the area over the evening into the early morning hours. Right now, we're taking a live look out over toward Baltimore, noticing the mostly cloudy skies, but no raindrops here on the screen. Most of that shower activity is hanging just to the south out over toward Anne Arundel County. Temperatures currently, though, as you get ready for bed, 70 degrees out over toward Elkton. Good evening to you. Into Easton at 74. Parkton 68 degrees and out over toward BWI about 73. Here's that shower activity I was telling you about. You can see light rain out over toward Bel Air, Edgewood, heading out over toward Elkton, where it looks like most of it's spreading out over toward Severn, pushing into Easton. This is really it, guys. We're not looking at anything severe weather. We're not going to pick up a lot of rain. In fact, by the time you wake up, it should be gone. As that cold front now begins to slice its way, getting oh so close toward us into Maryland. Temperatures behind it actually are going to jump up because we'll get so much more sunshine. They will warm almost 10 degrees. But you know when you're sitting outside and it's really warm and sunny, but then you get a gust of wind, makes you feel a little cooler? That's what will happen tomorrow. We could see some gusty conditions, I say possibly up to around 15, 17 miles per hour. Then on into Tuesday, high pressures in control, clockwise flow, so now delivering our winds out of the south, and that is going to allow temperatures to continue to warm. They will jump up, I'd say, another 2 degrees and forecast to peak on Wednesday before we get another cold front in the forecast. By the middle half of the work week, this one bringing another small chance of rain. I don't think flooding is a concern. However, we could see some severe weather. Still a few days away, though. When we get closer to about 3 days time frame, we'll be able to pinpoint that for you a little bit better. In the meantime, though, with today's first cold front, we're noticing the showers for you right around 12:45, midnight, 1 a.m., continuing to roll for the southern half of our area. And by 6 o'clock, most of it's gone. Maybe a few sprinkles out over toward Easton. Also out over toward the eastern half there, you could end up seeing a little bit of patchy fog. But for the most of us, we see by 8 o'clock, most of the clouds are out of here. Look for partly cloudy to mostly sunny skies in the morning. And right around, say, 10 a.m., all the way through the afternoon. Look how beautiful this is. We go from mostly sunny to just sunny conditions, and as a result, temperatures are going to go up. We should actually see them above average, so that cold front, somewhat of an oxymoron for us, right? So you can continue to watch. Just a few clouds will trace through the area, making your pool forecast a dynamite one, I might add. You might want to just go ahead and park yourself there all day, right? Once we're about 11 a.m., 78 degrees, and then by 1 o'clock, the lower 80s, and we'll go into the upper 80s close to 4 o'clock. If you're heading into the waters out over toward the Chesapeake, high tide coming in at around 4:23 in the afternoon at around 1.3. Water temperature there 78 degrees. Swell's not too bad, but by the middle half of the work week, we will be watching from surf from Larry. That's a Category 3 storm about 1,000 miles away from Bermuda. Possibly impact the eastern coastline when we get closer to right around Wednesday. 7-day forecast though for us. We'll notice our temperatures 85 degrees on your Tuesday, going up Wednesday, Thursday, and we could even see that small chance of rain with those showers cooling through the area by Wednesday. Erin?
Thanks, Sabrina. Practice makes perfect, especially in school. Ways you can help your kids turn their potential into perfection. That's coming up. Welcome back. Let's take a look at the COVID numbers here in Maryland. There were 805 new cases of the coronavirus in the last 24 hours. That marks more than 503,000 confirmed cases in the state. 12 more people died because of COVID-19 related illnesses. Now, when it comes to hospitalizations, 11 people were released. Now there are 809 people with COVID in hospitals across Maryland. English, literature, algebra, coding, these are all important skills for our children to learn these days. But it takes more than good grades to make a leader. One woman is changing the curriculum, changing the lives of 27,000 students in 195 schools, making sure kids today learn success skills. As WMAR 2 News' Megan Knight tells us, these are the skills that can turn your child's potential into performance.
Teamwork, trust, problem solving, and a dose of healthy competition. It looks like fun, but these kids are learning skills that will impact them for the rest of their lives.
We are providing our young people with the skills that they really need to be successful in that 21st century.
Flo Brett spent decades teaching leadership skills in the corporate world. She saw a desperate need to teach these skills even earlier.
We're providing skill sets to students that unfortunately they're not getting these skill sets in traditional education.
So Flo started the Effective Leadership Academy, teaching students beginning in 5th grade.
You need to be an effective communicator. You need to be an effective collaborator. You need